Have you ever looked around and wondered, is this all there is for me now? Maybe you felt like people expect you to slow down, settle in, or even give up a little of your independence just because you've crossed a certain age. And maybe, just maybe, you've heard someone mention the word nursing home, and your stomach dropped a bit. Not because those places are always bad, but because deep down you know you're not ready for that. You still have life to live, choices to make, and dreams that haven't expired. If you've ever felt that way, you're not alone. A lot of folks in their 60s, 70s, and beyond feel the same way. You've built a life full of experiences, wisdom, and resilience. So why should independence or dignity ever be compromised? Today, we're going to have an honest conversation about that. We'll talk about 7 real, practical, and empowering alternatives to nursing homes. Options that help you keep your freedom, stay connected to your community, and live with dignity on your terms. Because getting older shouldn't mean giving up control. It should mean living smarter, not smaller. Let's start with one of the most beautiful and growing options out there, aging in place with support. Now, aging in place might sound like a fancy phrase, but really, it just means staying in your own home as long as possible, with the right help in place. Imagine waking up in your own bed, sipping coffee in your favorite chair, surrounded by memories that make your heart smile. That kind of familiarity is more than just comfort. It's a form of strength. Thanks to technology and modern services, staying at home has never been more realistic. Home care aides can help with things like cleaning, cooking, or even bathing if needed, and you can choose how much or how little help you want. Some people just need someone to drive them to appointments or keep them company a few hours a week. Others may need a little more hands-on help. But the point is, you decide. You're still in the driver's seat. And today's smart home technology, it's like having a silent helper right there with you. You can set up voice assistants to remind you to take your medication. You can have motion sensors installed not to invade your privacy, but to alert someone if something seems off, like you haven't moved from the kitchen in hours. These little tools don't take away your freedom. They protect it. But what if you'd rather not live completely alone, or the house just feels too big now? That brings us to the second option, senior co-housing or shared living. This is one of my personal favorites because it brings back something many of us grew up with, community. Do you remember the days when neighbors watched out for each other, when someone was always there to lend a hand or share a story over tea? That's the heart of co-housing. In this setup, a group of like-minded seniors lives in a community together, each with their own private space, but with shared common areas like gardens, kitchens, or activity rooms. You have your independence, but you're never truly alone. There's always a familiar face nearby. It's like living in a neighborhood built by people who actually care about one another. And let's be honest, loneliness can sneak in as we get older. Maybe the kids are grown and far away, or maybe the phone doesn't ring as often. But when you live in a place where people genuinely want to connect, not out of obligation but out of joy, your days feel fuller. It's not about giving up privacy, it's about adding friendship. Now, I know some folks might be thinking, well, I'm still active and mobile. I'm not looking for assistance or community living just yet. And that's perfectly okay. That's where our third option comes in: independent living communities. These places are often designed like small apartment complexes or villages, and they're specifically tailored to older adults who can take care of themselves but want the ease of a supportive environment. You get your own space, no one's breathing down your neck, but you also get access to conveniences that make life a little easier. Meals in a dining hall if you don't feel like cooking, fitness classes to keep your joints moving, and social activities to keep the spirit young. You're free to come and go as you please. No curfews, no strict rules, just a lifestyle that respects your independence while offering just enough support to make life smoother. And let's not forget the sense of security that comes with that. There's usually staff on site, sometimes even 24/7. So if something unexpected happens, a fall, a sudden illness, you're not left to deal with it alone. But again, this isn't about needing help every day. It's about knowing someone's there if you do need it, without sacrificing your freedom. As you can see, there are more choices out there than people often realize. Aging doesn't have to look like it did for our parents or grandparents. It's no longer a one-size-fits-all journey. You have more say now, more tools, more paths to explore that actually fit the life you want to live. And if you've ever worried about what others might think, neighbors, family, even society, let me say this clearly. There is no shame in wanting more for yourself. You've earned the right to decide how you want to live, whether that's staying at home with a little help, joining a vibrant community of peers, or simply saying no to the idea that life slows down after 60. You deserve dignity, not limits. Now that we've talked about some of the options that help you stay at home or live independently in a community of your choosing, let's keep this conversation going and look at more ways you can live fully without ever having to settle for something that doesn't feel right. Because life after 60 isn't about limitation, it's about liberation. Let's talk about another wonderful alternative that's becoming more popular, especially for those who value independence but also want a little extra support in their day-to-day life: assisted living with a personal touch. Now, I know when some people hear assisted living, they picture something clinical or cold. But that old image is changing fast. Today's assisted living options come in all shapes and sizes, and the best ones feel more like cozy boutique hotels than anything else. Imagine walking into a place that smells like fresh-baked bread instead of antiseptic cleaner, where the staff knows your name and your favorite dessert. The key here is choice. Assisted living isn't about taking over your life. It's about supporting the parts you'd rather not handle alone anymore. Maybe that's remembering medications. Maybe it's getting dressed in the morning when your hands are feeling stiff. Or maybe it's just having someone cook a delicious meal so you don't have to worry about groceries and cleanup. You still have your own room or apartment. You can decorate it however you like. You can come and go, visit friends, take walks, read in peace. It's your space, with help available, not hovering, just ready. And if you're the kind of person who enjoys structure and routine, assisted living can offer exactly that without being overbearing. There are often scheduled activities: art, music, book clubs, garden walks, and you join in only if it feels right to you. It's a gentle blend of freedom and support, with dignity always at the center. Now, let's say you've thought about all of these options, but you're still not quite sure they fit your personality. Maybe you're more of a traveler at heart, someone who loves change and new experiences. If that sounds like you, then you might be drawn to something a bit more unconventional, something like nomadic retirement or senior travel living. This isn't for everyone, but for those with a spark of adventure still burning inside, it can be a thrilling way to live out your golden years. With the rise of affordable short-term rentals and travel services tailored for seniors, some people are ditching the idea of settling down altogether. Instead, they're spending months at a time in different cities or even countries, living simply but richly. They might stay in an Airbnb in a quiet village in Italy, then move to a peaceful beach town in Portugal, then maybe a cabin in the mountains of Colorado. And here's the best part. When you travel slowly and mindfully like this, it's often cheaper than living in a traditional care facility. You can hire help locally if needed, find communities of fellow senior travelers, and build a life that's not stuck in one place. It's independence on your own terms, with a suitcase full of stories waiting to be told. Of course, travel living isn't always realistic for everyone, and that's okay. Some people have strong ties to family or they love their local community and don't want to leave. In that case, one beautiful option to consider is multi-generational living. Think back to the way families used to live, not scattered across the country, but together, under one roof. Parents, kids, grandkids, sometimes even cousins, all supporting each other in small ways that make a big difference. Today, more and more families are choosing to live this way again. It's not about losing privacy, it's about gaining connection. If done thoughtfully, multi-generational living can be incredibly fulfilling. Maybe your daughter and her family build a small in-law suite in the backyard. Or maybe you live in a shared home with a private area just for you. You get to be close to loved ones, see your grandkids grow, share meals, laugh together, and still close your door when you want peace. The beauty of this option is that everyone benefits. You might help with school pickups or lend advice during tough moments. And in return, your family is there if you need a hand opening a jar, fixing a leaky faucet, or simply sharing your day. It's not about dependence. It's about mutual support. Of course, not every family situation makes this easy. But for those who can make it work, it's a way to keep strong family bonds while preserving your dignity and identity. No institution could ever replace that. And maybe, just maybe, you're someone who's thinking, I want to live independently, but I don't want to do it alone. I've got an extra room, and I wouldn't mind the company. That brings us to another creative solution that's quietly changing lives. Home sharing with a companion or roommate. Think of it like the golden years version of a college dorm, but with far more wisdom, better food, and no noisy neighbors. You live in your own home and you choose to share it with someone. Maybe another senior, maybe a younger person looking for affordable rent who's happy to help out around the house in return. It's not just about splitting costs, though that can be a nice bonus. It's about shared meals, late-night chats, having someone nearby in case something goes wrong. And the best part? You get to choose who you live with. There are organizations and websites now that match seniors with compatible housemates, and they often offer safety screenings and guidance along the way. For many people, this kind of living arrangement brings a spark of joy back into daily life. It breaks the silence. It turns a quiet house into a home again. And the truth is, every one of these options we've talked about so far has one thing in common. They give you control. They let you shape your environment, choose your support, and preserve what matters most: your independence, your voice, your dignity. There's no one-size-fits-all answer. The right choice is the one that fits you, your needs, and your dreams, not anyone else's idea of what life should look like after 60, 70, or even 90. Let's keep going, because there's still more to explore. The final option might surprise you, not because it's flashy or new, but because it's quietly powerful. It's about combining independence with purpose, and it's one of the most meaningful alternatives out there, because sometimes what we truly need isn't just a place to live. It's a reason to get up in the morning, a sense of meaning. That brings us to the seventh and final alternative I want to share with you today: purpose-driven community living or senior volunteer residencies. Now, I know that phrase might sound like a mouthful, but stay with me, because this is a truly inspiring option for those who want to stay active, give back, and stay deeply connected to the world around them. In some communities across the country, and even around the globe, seniors are choosing to live in places where they don't just reside, they contribute. What does that look like? Well, imagine living in a community that offers reduced housing costs in exchange for a few hours a week of helping out. Maybe reading to children at a local school, tending to a community garden, mentoring young adults, or offering your skills to a local nonprofit. These aren't heavy responsibilities. They're opportunities to feel useful, to feel connected, and to share your wisdom in ways that light you up inside. In one small town, I heard about a senior center that partnered with a local elementary school. The older adults would walk over every afternoon to help with homework, tell stories, or simply listen. And the children? They blossomed under the attention. One woman told me with tears in her eyes, "Those kids gave me a reason to smile again. I hadn't felt needed like that in years." That's the magic of this kind of living. You don't just get support, you become part of the support system. You stay engaged, valued, and, most importantly, seen. Because one of the hardest parts of aging for many people isn't the physical changes. It's the sense that the world is moving on without you. But when you live somewhere that recognizes your experience and wants it, you don't feel left behind. You feel right where you're supposed to be. Some of these purpose-driven communities are organized around shared values or interests. For example, artists' villages where retired musicians, painters, and writers live together, create together, and even teach community workshops. Or faith-based communities where spiritual practice and service to others are part of daily life. Or even green living communities where seniors help manage sustainable farms or eco-projects. The possibilities are wide open. And you might be thinking, that sounds lovely, but I don't have the energy to do all that. And that's fair. This isn't about hustle or pressure. It's about finding joy and meaning in small, manageable ways. Even if it's just tending flowers in a shared garden or hosting a tea circle once a week. The goal is to live somewhere that feeds your soul, not just your schedule. So whether you're someone who thrives in movement or someone who prefers the quiet rhythm of meaningful routine, This kind of lifestyle is about staying connected to purpose on your terms. Now, let's take a moment to breathe that all in. Because when we talk about getting older, we don't hear this enough. You still have a voice. You still have choices. You still matter. And if no one's told you that lately, let me be the one to say it again. You matter. It doesn't matter if you've slowed down, if you need help opening jars, or if you forget where your glasses are more than you used to. You are still a whole person with a history, with dreams, with value, and that value doesn't disappear just because someone else thinks it's time for a nursing home. Now, just to recap gently, not to repeat, but to remember, we've looked at different ways you can live well as you age, not just survive, but truly live. Whether that means staying in your own home with a little help, joining a community of peers, traveling, sharing space with family or a roommate, or giving your time to something bigger than yourself. Each of these paths offers something powerful, dignity, because that's what this whole conversation has really been about. Not just housing, not just care, but the right to wake up every morning and feel like your life is still yours, that you can still shape your days, still decide what matters to you, still have something beautiful to offer the world. And here's the best part. You don't have to make a giant change all at once. Sometimes, the first step is simply sitting down with someone you trust and saying, "Here's what I want for the next chapter of my life." Not what's expected of you, not what others have chosen, what you want. You'd be surprised how many doors start to open when you speak your truth out loud. So here's what I want to leave you with today. You deserve to age with choice, not just care. You deserve to be supported, not managed. You deserve to be surrounded by people and places that see you, not just your age, but your spirit. And whatever road you choose from here, whether it's quiet or adventurous, simple or unconventional, just know that it can be filled with independence, dignity, and joy. If this video spoke to you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you experienced any of these alternatives? Are you considering one for yourself or a loved one? Drop a comment below. Your story might just inspire someone else watching. And if you found this helpful, go ahead and click that like button. It lets me know you're out there, and it helps more people find this message. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this one, filled with real talk, encouragement, and ways to live your best life after 60. Because life isn't over. It's just shifting into something new. And you, my friend, are more than ready for it. Here's to your freedom, your voice, and the beautiful road ahead, no matter where it leads.